All right, we'll start that again. Hi, everybody. I'm Michele Amburgey, and welcome to New Earth Calling, where we talk about New Earth Calling, what's happening with the New Earth, and how are we helping to create that New Earth for ourselves and others. So, very quickly, while I'm waiting for folks to get on, whoop, my gosh, Facebook has made so many changes. I kind of crack up. I'm like, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So I hope everybody's doing good. I'm here in California and we're having June gloom and it's been in April. Now we're into May. And it's always that kind of overcasty weather and it's so sleepy. And, I've not wanted to get out of bed in the morning. So I apologize to you guys for being a little bit late today. And what we're going to talk about today, which is really cool, is we're going to talk about what is a calling? What is a calling? What is a New Earth calling? What is this that we're talking about? And it's important to kind of understand what that is because if you have a calling to be working with the New Earth and working with New Earth leadership and working on helping to create this new earth, then it you really know it. But a lot of times it's kind of like, well, yeah, okay, maybe I do, maybe I don't, I don't know. And so I really want to talk about more of what that is for everyone. But while I'm waiting for a moment here, I am going to share this out over to a couple pages and groups. And I'm sitting here, I'm trying to use my iPad. And this happened the last time I did this too, trying to use my iPad to get over into where all this is happening. And there's so many new little tidbits and little avenues that Facebook has created that I can't find my way through with my iPad. So bear with me, darlings. Bear with me. And we'll get this out to everybody because I know there's a lot of people that are really, really wanting to come in and pay attention and be a part of this because there's a lot of you out there that are feeling it. You guys are feeling it. And I'm having people contact me. And what is so fun with people contacting me is that a lot of times it's people that I never thought of, Some of you guys have been kind of hiding out there in the shadows. Some of you guys have been hanging out. And kind of keeping to the shadows there. And so it's super, super exciting to see that. Whoops. I'm sharing this over to Awakener TV. Join me. We're on right now. I'm on right now. And then I'm also going to share this out over to my group, to my Soulful Living group too, because it's really fun. This is really fun what's happening. So let me just get that done. There we go. There we go. And then I'm also going to get it into the New Earth Leadership Group. For those of you who don't know, I have a new Facebook group that is called New Earth Leadership. And I advertise this in that page so that we can begin to have that going on. So those of you that are in the New Earth Leadership Group, I welcome you. There we go. Okay. The business end of this thing is done. I'm just very quickly getting back to New Earth Leadership Facebook group. Anybody who feels a calling to be working on New Earth Leadership, which we're going to talk about what that is today, please come over and join up the group. We're just getting started. I think we have maybe 20 people on there. And what I'm really looking for is the people that are having this calling, this New Earth calling. That is the New Earth calling you. So let's talk about that. First of all, New Earth, what the heck is that? We don't know. And yet we do. What's happening is we're going through a massive shift of consciousness. Everybody who's watching this knows that. You guys wouldn't even be here if you didn't know something's going on. And this massive shift of consciousness is creating a new paradigm, a new dimension, if you will. You hear people talk about the, five dimensions, fifth dimension, the new paradigm, the new earth. Everybody's talking about it. And we know that we're shifting into something that is allowing for the the third dimension, which is a dimension of separation, of duality, of inequality. We created that dimension, by the way, to experience that separation from each other, from God. God is creator. Whatever word we use for that infiniteness, that oneness that we all are innately connected to. And we had that to experience that duality and that separation to grow our souls, to grow our spirits. But we've done that now. And those of us and those of you who have reached that point where you're understanding that there is more than this third dimension thing, because part of the third dimensional experience, part of that experience of the separation was the forgetting that we're separated from something. So we all come in with no manual, no guidance, no nothing, no memory, and we're learning. And what happens is, as we grow our soul, over one of the ways we do that is through the process of reincarnation. As we grow the soul, each time we incarnate, we begin to experience synchronicities. We begin to run into each other that know each other, and it begins to set off the memory of the cells in the brain, of the cells in the belly, your gut, your intuition. And then so many of us have had this enough over lifetimes and in this lifetime where we're beginning to wake up again, right? We're beginning to remember who we are. So part of New Earth calling could be New Earth remembering, right? Part of intuition, part of awakening is really remembering who we are. So when I'm talking about the New Earth calling and I'm talking about what this is all about, is I'm talking about the people that are remembering who they are, that are remembering that they were powerful beings that are deeply, deeply and profoundly connected to the oneness, the one, the God, goddess, creator, universe, tree, whatever word we use for that. I like to use eternal loving presence. That's the word that I use. That's what I use in my prayer. I use in my practice. I use, with you guys, my clients and students. And it's that wonderful experience of that eternal loving presence. And we're beginning to remember that not only are we loved by this eternal loving presence, not only are we a part of this eternal loving presence, but this eternal loving presence flows in through and as each and every one of us. So in effect, we are that. And when we begin to understand that, when we begin to really say, you know what, yeah, I am connected, I am a part of, and I am an animating factor of this oneness, of this God, of this creator. There's a level of awakening that happens that also brings many, many of us to the point of understanding that we are in this great time of massive change. We see it all around. Things are crumbling away. But as it crumbles away, those of us that are awake to this understanding, part of the reason we're here is to create the new earth paradigm, is to be a part of creating that which we want to experience. It is not the separation, that is not the mayhem and the chaos and that mode of learning and growing our spirit. We understand now that we can move into an era of peace and harmony and equality, abundance for all, where everything and everyone is a blessed expression of God. And we know that. And so those of you who are feeling like, yeah, I get it. I get it. I know this. I understand. Those of you who are then feeling called, which is that soul urging to do something, to begin to create that space that is to become the new earth. Now, I have people ask me a lot of times, well, is the newer something that's already there? Do I just need to get there? Right? Do I just need to figure out where it is and get there? Do I need to fuel up my car and jump in and, get there? And it's no, that is not, it's not a place to go. It's a state of being, it's a state of consciousness. And when you reach that state of consciousness, the world around you begins to reflect that consciousness back to you. Okay. But what's happening is we are coming out of such separation, and we're coming out of a 3D into a 5D. So we're leaping D's and we're moving through the fourth dimension. And I had my guidance told me one time that the fourth dimension is almost like the portal or the bridge, right? Which so many of us are on. All of you guys, if you're here, you're on that fourth dimensional bridge to come into 5D. But we're creating 5D, right? There is a movie, and it's a kids movie. It's called Onward, and I think it's on Disney Plus. And there's a part of that where the guys come to this big chasm, and they're on their big journey, just like we're all on our big journey. And he's doing spells, he's casting spells, but he's got to cross this big chasm. And this chasm it's the endless, it's like there is no end. You fall in this thing and you're gone forever. Um, and so what this young man needs to do to get across this is he needs to believe in each step he takes that that bridge will be there. He needs to understand that by his understanding, by his mental and emotional and spiritual capacity, that each step will be there for him. And in the movie they don't really do this or really stress this that much, but part of what it is, because he's got his brother on the side going, just believe, just believe. It is by his belief in himself as a powerful wizard that each step is there as he's crossing the endless chasm, the endless depths, the endless fall. And so that's pretty much where we are all right now, where we are in this 4D, walking over the endless chasm. And it is by our belief and our faith in ourselves, it is by our understanding that we are great and we are powerful and we are wonderful, that we get across, that each step is there for us. So a lot of people want to know, okay, well, what are we going to? Well, that depends on what we're doing. It depends on you and me. That depends on what we're thinking, what we're believing on, what we're concentrating on. And it depends on what is your soul calling you to do? Where do you see a need for your love and your energy, and where do you feel like you will be most passionate about? And I'll share with you guys something that is a passion that I really have. Ooh, I'm already feeling emotional. It makes me crazy that being an American, living in California, living in Orange County, that I live basically in the wealthiest county, in the wealthiest state, in the wealthiest country in the world. And there are people living in the streets and starving. What the hell, right? So I have a huge sensitivity to homelessness. And it's interesting because as an adult, I had two children. I was a single mother for a long time, and I was terrified of becoming homeless. So obviously this has been showing up in my life as something that is it's that ring, it's that it's like I could handle a lot of stuff, but being homeless freaked me out. And so now, as I'm older and as I've stepped into my spiritual path, and as I'm moving into an awakened state and an understanding that I'm able to be a conduit for change, to shift that thing. Part of my calling that I feel so strong about is to do something about this homelessness, to make sure that there will never be, especially children, sleeping in the streets and not having a safe home and safe family and food in their belly, right? Something needs to be done. So that's part of where my calling is. My calling is also to be standing up here right now and calling you guys to find your calling. right? Because there's so many things that need to change. There's so many things that we need to take a look at and decide. Not only do we need to understand what needs to be fixed, but my understanding of all this too is we don't need to fix what's broken. We need to create what works. And we can learn about that from looking at what's broken. But we also need to depend on this innate inner wisdom, this connection to the all, to allow that information, to allow that awareness, to allow that awakening to come in so that we know how or what to create so that it is sustainable and beneficial for all life. We live on an abundant planet. Mother Earth wants to give us everything she has to help humanity and all of our companions here. You know, the animals and the birds and the fish and the dolphins and the whales and the trees and the rocks and the earth and the sun and the planets and the stars. Want all of us to live in harmony together. That's what Mother Earth is here. She's abundant and she has abundantly provided for us. But the problem is, humanity has not abundantly allowed that to flow to all and everyone. And so we need to really look at what would be a sustainable institution for everything. And my other thing is education. You know, education isn't supposed to be indoctrinating to an agenda. It's to open the mind and open the hearts for people to find who they are and what they are and how to express that in the world. And there are some fundamentals, reading, writing, and arithmetic, the 3 R's, as they used to call it. Um, and actually there's, you know, only one of them is actually an R. But to provide those fundamentals, but in a way that children can absorb that. And for the education thing, one of the things that I am so passionate about is over, and I think it's in Japan, they have classrooms that are outside. They have great big huge beautiful trees and the children sit outside, weather permitting, and Japan is you know, pretty nice weather most of the time, and they learn outdoors. And they don't learn just from books and rote and remembering things and repetition. They learn from experience. They learn from hands on. And there's so many studies out even today that say that children learn so much better than that. There are so many schools that are created, like the Montessori schools, and what are the Waldorf schools, those schools that allow for the freedom of creativity. They already do that, and they're hugely successful. Children are hugely successful in those things. And so that's another one. You know, what is that going to look like? And we have to also realize there's not one way for everyone. We have to allow for that flow, that divine flow, to be a part of our planning, to be a part of what we're doing. What are we creating for 5D? A lot of people ask me, well, 5D, okay, is it just going to be another Earth with things done differently? In a way, and it's not really even, we're not really even going anywhere. We are collectively creating a new way. So how I was shown many years ago, New Earth, I've been very, very aware of this shift of the ages thing since I was a child. Um, and that I was here for a time of tribulation, of revelation, of apocalypse. I don't know what I was thinking, but I was even born into the Mormon church that focuses on the latter days. It is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter Day Saints, right? So I was even born into that, and I'm not a practicing Mormon anymore, but totally honor the religion because I learned a lot, and they've got good stuff. You know, they take care of their own, but like anything created by humans, there's always, you know, the fallible points. There's always the fallible parts. And so we can't look at at a whole by its broken pieces either. And that goes for Catholicism and Judaism and Islam and you know all of it. We can't. We have to understand that it's founded in a belief system that's wonderful. The fallible parts are the human parts, and we're human, but we're moving away from that too. So the other thing is understanding that you have a place in all of this. You have a part in all of this. We are at the end of an age. Even the yugas, which are written in time from hundreds of thousands of years ago. The Mayan calendars, they all show an ending and a new beginning. And we are at that new beginning. So, what I was going to explain to you, that's right. What I've been being shown for many, many years is that we have Earth, and Earth exists, and it is something that we created, right? And from this new Earth, this fifth dimension is almost like a breaking away. But what I was shown is we're not going to create an actual physical new Earth. We're not going to have two Earths now circling the sun. But there was like this webbing of energy that went from the old Earth into the new Earth. So, what my understanding is, and this is just my understanding, and I would love to hear other people's understandings, but what my understanding is with this new Earth paradigm is that it's almost like um, I'm intuitive and I work as a psychic medium. So with mediums, and even psychics too, because we work with guides, but with mediums, we communicate with those who have crossed over, those that are dead, those that are through the veil on the other side. And so they're there, they're aware of us. Those of us that are sensitive are aware of them, and we can even communicate. And I feel like that this is very much what this new earth situation is. This is how I am understanding it, how it's given to me, is that we will be here on earth, but we will be in another dimension, the fifth dimension, where we probably will be able to communicate back and forth between third, fourth, and fifth. But we won't be living day to day everything in that. We will have chosen and created collectively together something that is whew, more beautiful, more sustainable, more beneficial to all of life. We will have created that. And that's why we're here today. What is your new earth calling? Where are you feeling you want to put your creative energies, your mind, your intuition, your heart and soul into creating? Because for us to create it, we must be focusing on that. And that's the other huge factor with all of that. We cannot be sitting watching the news, watching and immersing ourselves in the crumbling of a dimension, in the crumbling of a world, in the crumbling of a country, in a crumbling of even your own state, even maybe even some of you, your own communities. We cannot sit and focus on that and be creating something greater. We must gather ourselves. We must gather our mental capacity, our emotional capacity, our physical capacity, our spiritual capacity, and begin focusing the most amount of our energy and all of this on this fifth dimensional creation. Does it mean you have to quit your job and start doing it? No. What it is what are you thinking about? Are you thinking about, oh my God, I don't want to get a vaccine? Or, oh my God, my neighbors are horrible. Or, oh my God, the country is falling. Or, oh my God, that leader is horrible. Or, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Is that what you're thinking about? Because you're in third dimension when you're doing that. You're stuck in that dimension of separation, and it's painful and it's horrifying. Or are you thinking on, oh my gosh, this new dimension, and being sometimes it even feels a little bit like daydreaming, right? Because daydreaming is part of the creative process. We have to live in that for a while. Do you need to know and be able to picture the whole picture? No. That's what your calling is about. Your calling is about, where is your energy needed? Is it needed to create new governance, new, maybe something around medicine, health, well-being, education, homelessness, children, adults, the elderly, the handicapped, where do you want to be someone who works on the environment? Does that call you in the environment? Is it the ocean? Is it the trees? Is it the beaches? Is it the mountains? Is it grass? Is it air? What is it? Where are you being called? Where are you being called? And let's talk about what a calling is. And a calling can be very, very clear, but oftentimes they start as a little niggling thing that keeps popping up in your life. A calling is your soul trying to lead you towards what you're here to do. And that's about as simple as I can get with that. It's your soul calling you. And it's really important when you start feeling this that you pay attention. I have been very aware, again, like I said, since childhood, of that I'm here to be, you know, for the end of times. As a kid, I don't know what the heck that meant, and it was kind of scary, but that little niggling was always there. When I started on my spiritual path 25 years ago, that little niggling was always there. And I was like, what is that? When I, began to work professionally in this spiritual field, it began to get louder and louder. But you know what? 20 years ago, nobody really was talking about, or very few people were thinking about a fifth dimension, a actual shift of ages, an actual, oh my gosh, we need to create this thing, we need to get humanity shifted and awakened so that we can get out of this duality and into something that is just love and harmonious for all of us, because that's our nature, right? And that's another thing, is the soul calling, but it's our natural state of being, is being happy, being free, being liberated, being able to eat clean food and drink clean water, breathe clean air, to have healthy children, to be healthy, to have governance that is fair and kind. There's just so many things that we can create that would make it so beautiful. And there is a part of you, if you're being called to this, that knows what you're here to help with, right? And some of it is just being awesome. It's just being awesome, because we need those people that are like energy holders, placeholders, space holders as well. There's so many different things. I'm giving you some of kind of the biggie big things that we need to be working on, but there's everything. If you're being called to be someone who sells roses on the corner as people drive by, then that is what you are being called to do, right? We are not looking for great, lofty leaders. We need every little piece of harmony and love and joy and freedom to be filled in by you. To be filled in by you. Something Archangel Michael is bringing through, and actually Archangel Metatron is really stepping up into this topic, if you will, is the caregivers for the children. Um, they're showing me that even the family dynamics are going to change, and change from the kind of isolated, secluded family, mom, dad, and the kids, maybe grandma or grandpa's there, kind of your basic, how we've gotten so separated from each other, and that opening up to more of a village kind of consciousness, where the children are not raised just by mom, dad, and by school, but by a whole village of people, by aunties and uncles and cousins, and whether by blood or not, but people that are looking out for the children, because it's gotten really harsh on the kids, because most kids, most people don't want to step in and deal with other people's kids anymore, because it's gotten to be so completely out of balance, that to step in and ask a child who's doing something naughty to not do that, the risk of getting in trouble, of having the parents come down on you, that kind of stuff is pretty high, and people don't want to get involved in that anymore, and it's has led to legal problems and problems with, with the police and all kinds of crazy stuff over the years. And so it's getting back to that. But you can trust in a tribal kind of situation, when everybody's thinking the same and operating on the same consciousness, that what is going to be said and taught is going to be of positivity. It's going to be beneficial. And so the word beneficial is a big word that I'm putting onto the 5D plane, where it's beneficial for everybody. And beneficial for everybody is very different for different people. Different people need different things. Another thing that I'm being showed is, when we are shifting this, we're going to see a huge decline in mental illness. And they're showing me almost like drug use and all that kind of stuff. Matter of fact, Metatron is saying there's not even drug use in the 5D. That whole entire, um, he's saying ball of wax. That whole entire ball of wax isn't even going to exist. And that's all part of the homeless thing too, where you got the drugs, you got the alcohol, you got the mental illness, you got the homeless. It's like it's this huge chunk of something that is so complex that nobody knows how to fix it here in third dimension. But as we move into that fifth dimensional plane, those kind of things won't even exist, mainly because of the consciousness that everybody's operating on, where we love each other. We take care of each other. When someone misbehaves, when someone does something bad, we don't cast them, into the prison. We bring them together with the group and we figure out what is it that has gone wrong? What is it that this being needs? What is happening with this soul? And we fix it as a group, as a tribe. A lot of times, when people misbehave, they just want to be seen and loved. How simple is that? Right? But it has gotten so grossly out of whack that people are committing horrendous crimes. And a lot of times the very little nugget is they just want to be loved. Love is a huge thing that needs to be brought in. And it's not love, ego love. It is agape love. It is unconditional, but it doesn't mean I have to put up with your crap either, right? It's fixing the problems immediately, but fixing them with love. There is a in Africa, there's an African tribe, and I remember, and I'm sure it's not just this tribe. I think it's probably that cradle of civilization and probably indigenous behavior. But when someone misbehaves, the first thing they do is grab them and bring the tribe around them and hug. Just hug them, hug them, hug them, love them, hug them. I love you, I love you, I see you. And almost like kind of everybody comes up to them and they're gathered around them. And oftentimes, oh, that makes me want to cry. Oftentimes that breaks down whatever that is that was getting misaligned in that being, and fixes it just like that. They don't need to sit down and talk about what you did. They don't need lawyers and judges. And, that's a whole other institution that costs us but zillions of dollars every year in correcting, misbehavior, when there's other ways that it could be done. That's another thing too, the whole money thing. I was talking with somebody not too long ago, and I was like, if people just didn't commit crime, how much more money we would all have. Because so much of the stuff like insurance and having to pay for all this kind of stuff, it costs. I mean, I don't even, there's not even, trillions is too small of a number. I'm going to use that big word, gazillions of dollars that are put just into that institution itself. And I've had people say, yeah, well, it provides jobs. It's like, well, yeah, but you know what? We don't need those jobs. There are plenty of other jobs that can be done that will be, again, beneficial. So just talking on this, it makes me really, really excited. And I know there's some of you that are watching. I apologize that I cannot see that on my screen. Um, the iPads are kind of weird. The iPads are kind of weird here. And I don't know how to use it, apparently. But I thank all of you guys for listening. But I want to get back really, really quick to what is your calling? What does a calling feel like? I can share with you what my calling feels like. It feels like something that makes my heart open, that gets my brain going. It feels like joy in my belly. When I wake up in the morning and I think, oh my gosh, I get to do New Earth Calling um, Facebook Live with you guys. It's like, yay. It's like some mornings it's like, all I can do is drag myself out of bed. But this morning I woke up and I'm like, oh yeah, cool. Cool. I get to talk about this. I get to share with this, and I get to share with people that are showing up. You guys that are showing up in the New Earth Leadership Facebook group. I'm so excited about that. Those of you that are listening right now, they're like, what's going on? I'm so excited to be here because it is the time of creation. It's time for us to get together, put our hearts, our love, our souls together, and start working and creating that which is going to be beneficial for everyone. So for me, my calling feels like passion and joy. And I want to share with you guys too. Many of you are aware that I just got done doing an event called the Divine Flow Expo. And my intention with that expo was to bring to you guys many, many people doing many different things that they love, that's their passion, where they found their divine flow. Because I feel that for us to move into this new earth, we have to be in that divine flow. And to be in the divine flow is being in your passion, being in what makes you happy. Is painting something that you love to do? Cooking, baking, caregiving, helping others. God, there's just so many different things that people have that are passions. There are things that they love. That's your divine flow. That's part of your calling. Do you love music? I love music. I play a couple instruments, not well, but I play them and I love it. And when I get into it, I'm like, oh my gosh. Another passion I have, and this is crazy, is I love numbers. I've been an accountant since the early 80s. And I do basically bookkeeping. I don't do a lot of it now because my spiritual calling has taken precedence over that. But I still have a couple clients, and when I work on them, I love numbers. Numbers don't lie. There's always an order. I'm a Virgo. And so I love order. I love things that work out where there is no chance of mistake. And if there's a mistake, it can be fixed. Right? That's like right up my alley. Another thing that you can also take a look at that's just popped into my mind is, you were born under certain planetary signs, all the different ones. It's not just your sun and your moon and your rising sign, but it's all of them. A lot of times, if you take a look at those, maybe get a really good astrological reading, that'll give you an idea of what your passion and what your soul's calling is too. So there's a lot of different ways we can go about finding this as well. But really, it's about what turns you on. What turns you on? What makes you excited? What makes you want to jump out of bed in the morning? And if you don't know yet, that's okay. Just the fact that you're thinking about it, just the fact that you happen to be here listening, and there are what, 8 or 9 people, what, 11 people, it just popped up, um, listening to this right now, you're here because there's something that's going, we need to be there. I don't know what I'm doing. How did this pop up on my Facebook thing? What's going on? Pay attention and let it flow. Also, the other thing about this is don't try to force anything. Allow the calling to awaken and get louder within you, but pay attention to it too. Because when you pay attention to it, it'll get louder faster. But just remember, it's something, and it could be many somethings that you're passionate about. Um, and I have many somethings, and I find working with people too, and for myself, that these many somethings all kind of come together in some way as well. They all kind of have common denominators, which will help you too. So first thing is you you don't have to know what it is right now. Second thing is you get to do whatever makes you happy. Third thing is your soul's kind of showing the way. God is showing the way. Your job is to listen. Just listen. And you know what? Sometimes that's the hardest part of the job. But now that we know it's the hardest part of the job, now that we know the key is to listen, now that you're aware of that now, you can stop and take a breath and listen, at least for a moment. Whenever you start feeling really happy, whenever something crosses your path where you're like, yes, I love that, pay attention. How you respond to things, pay attention. How you respond to certain people, pay attention. How you respond to certain kind of music, pay attention. How you respond to the world will also give you an idea of where your passion is, where your divine flow is, where your new earth calling is. It all goes together. I'm going to be doing a new Divine Flow Expo in September, probably over the equinox, which is also my birthday. And is it the equinox? It is the equinox, September. It'll probably be September. I've got it right now as the 22nd, 23rd, I think, or 21st and 22nd. I'm not sure. I'm not exactly sure what dates I'm using there. Kind of waiting for my inner wisdom to inform me. But we're going to be talking. We're going to do Divine Flow Expo, and it's going to be on New Earth leadership and how being in your passion, being in that divine flow, is going to help guide you in your New Earth experience and where you're going to be as a New Earth leader. And so we're working on that. I'm also creating courses and stuff to help people really work on that, because we're getting people from all different walks of life. You don't, it's not just coming from the spiritual realm. People, we've kind of taken spirituality and put it in a box and said, if you're a healer, a psychic, a new ager, a metaphysician, maybe a bit of a mystic, then you're spiritual. Everybody's spiritual because everybody has a spirit. It's just what they're experiencing is that. And I have had people pop up and saying, I'm a part of this New Earth leadership that I never would have thought in a million years. One of them, and if you're listening, you're going to crack up, is into totally like heavy metal, screaming crazy music. And she wears dark clothes, she's got the piercings, the tattoos, she's a rough and tough gal, and I love her because she's brilliant. But I would never have thought in a million years that she would be someone to pop up and go, oh yeah. And at first my judgment, and her and I talked about this, my judgment went, oh hell no. And I can say that because we talked about it and I told her I was going to say it. Um, I was like, oh no, 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 that's not what I'm up for. And boy, did I get backlash from my guidance, and Metatron kind of popped in and went, who are you to judge? Who are you to say yes or no? And I'm like, yeah, and he said, you were not queen of the new earth. I was like, mm-hmm. Yeah. My personality a lot of times is I see a need and I pick it up and I go with it. Um, and Metatron was just saying, oh, you wait and see. And so I decided I was going to go ahead and have a conversation with this beautiful angelic being. And it was like, oh my God, she's going to be leading the way in powerful, powerful ways. And it was just such a lesson for me. So what your calling is. I also very much want to say this because I've had people asking this question too, asking other people what your calling is or what your place is. Please don't do that. The time for that is over. The time for finding your answers from within, that's what it's about. That's why I have been talking about prayer and meditation for decades, because we have to get it from within. And there's going to be people who will tell you. There'll be, psychics and intuitives and people that do the work like I do that will tell you. And if you go with that, that's cool if it really is what's resonating with you. But you're being called to begin finding your answers from within and to not depend on that outer source to tell you who you are, what you're supposed to be doing. Now, I'm kind of shooting myself in the foot here because I make the bulk of my income doing readings for people. But I also understand, and I also share with all of my clients and students that it is their job to do part of this too. They must do the inner work. They must do it. So I'm going to leave you with that. We will be back next Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific time, and we'll continue this conversation on the New Earth calling. How is the New Earth calling you? And I just want to really inspire you. I almost kind of want to challenge you guys a little bit to use this next week to think about, to pray on, to meditate on, to contemplate on, to daydream on, to begin to create on. What is your passion? What do you love? What just makes you be like, yes? And maybe write about it a little bit. Maybe jot that down. Maybe get a journal. Maybe start doing some automatic writing or some meditation and taking notes. just on this subject. I use spiral bound notebooks. I buy them like in bulk when they go on sale because I write everything down. And start contemplating this. You're here and you're listening to this for a reason. It's part of the calling. It's part of what is reaching out to you from within. And so let's get working on this. We're going to have a lot of stuff coming up. I've got events coming up. I've got classes and courses coming up to help you find what this is. I already have things that are available one-on-one courses. You can go to my website at micheleamburgey.com. If you really want to work on this, I have new Earth Leadership courses that are available that guide you in finding these answers. And it's so exciting. It's so exciting. I'm really excited to work with you guys and for you guys and and begin doing this, and even not even begin, we're already in it. We're already in it. I'm stepping into part of my passion, and my part of the New Earth leadership is to be the oracle, to be the teacher for the New Earth leaders. And I use that word teacher a little bit loosely because I'm not teaching you about New Earth leadership. I'm facilitating you finding that within yourself through a series of super fun experiences and super fun classes. So I'm going to leave you guys. I'm going to move on because I've got some intuitive work to do for the rest of the day. And I thank you guys so much for being here. Really take some time each day and begin thinking on and pondering all of these topics, because the more energy we put on that, the faster we begin to create that, and the quicker we begin to blow up this bubble of love and benefit for everybody, to where we can begin to operate in that structure of awesomeness. And I'm really excited, and also understand, as your consciousness shifts, your environment and your experiences shift, and you already begin kind of working in that 5D thing where, all of a sudden everything that you're doing is joy, and the people that you're around are positive, and you begin creating that already when you start working towards this, when you start taking that time, prayer, meditation, contemplation, daydreaming. That's one of my favorite meditation practices, is the daydreaming thing, the visioning, right? Open up that imagination, see what comes through. So I love you guys. I love you, love you, love you. Please share this with anybody that you think might be needing it too. This is mm, it just makes me so happy. Makes me so happy to be here. So this is all good. It's good stuff. You guys are beautiful and amazing. Again, I am Michele Amburgey. I am the Awakener. I'm one of many. I'm an Araku, a teacher for the New Earth leaders, a New Earth visionary, and I'm here to walk hand in hand and heart with you guys. And I'm really looking forward to it. So many, many blessings to all of you.